controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Yeah, Sam. Welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Hat. You know who I am. You know what I'm here to do. And you know I'm here to rock, okay? Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, XG, and the place to be. Are you getting excited for the big shows this weekend?
I'm stoked, man.
I'm excited, dude.
It's going down.
We're going to Arizona. Arizona is wonderful, dude. I love desert rats. I love them. They're all hot. They love blow, and they will have your baby. So that's what we're looking forward to. Very excited for this weekend. So Thursday night, everybody. That's right. We will be Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night with Eddie Bravo, XG. We will be at the House of Comedy in Arizona. That's Thursday night. That's a 7:30 show. Get your asses out there. We're super excited. Tickets are moving. This is the big week. It will be a 2-hour show. XG doing stand-up, Eddie Bravo doing stand-up, myself doing stand-up, and then we're going to do Q&A at the end, and we will run that until the wheels fall off. We are going to answer all of your questions. And then Tucson is getting interesting. We'll get into that a little later. But go to Tucson, grab the tickets, man. We're at the 191 Tool, Toole. Go to 191tool.com and grab them tickets. We're going to come out, and then everyone's like, you're going to hang out? Of course we're going to hang out. Of course we're going to hang out. I mean, that's what the point is. Meet and greet. Meet all you cool-looking dudes and all you dime pieces that somehow love this stuff. I still don't understand it, but they're all dime pieces, and they all come out, and it's going to be a good time, man. I'm very excited about all of it, man. I'm very excited. And then, of course, this Tuesday or tomorrow, it is the big show. It is Comedy Chaos Live. That's right. Absolute Extract presents Comedy Chaos at the Comedy Store. Second show sold out, 10:30. Joe Rogan. First show, 8 o'clock. Still some tickets left. We have about 80 tickets left for tomorrow's show. It's brought to you by our friends at Absolute Extract. Go to absoluteextract.com. And, dude, they got everything. They got weed. They got what else they got? They got vape
beer.
pens.
They
got lip balm. I think that's some weed shit. They are the Reebok. I don't even want to get a Nike because Nike's in the shit right now. We'll get into that with our guest. But I don't even want to say Nike. I want to say the Vans. They're the Vans of weed. You got everything. Vape pens. They got lip balm. I'm sure they got anal bleaching because I know they got some vagina stuff. You put it on your vajayjay and it makes you feel high as shit. So all that's available. They're good friends of ours, and they are literally sponsoring listen. Comedy is really crazy because stand-up is great, but the number one point of stand-up comedy is to sell booze. It's like get laughs, sell booze. It's like 1A, 1B. So the Comedy Chaos is the number one liquor sales show at the Comedy Store. And if you know, the Comedy Store is the number one comedy club in the world, sells more tickets than any other comedy club. So you know what that makes Comedy Chaos? Number one comedy show in the motherfucking world, dog. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Do the
Aaron,
math.
you know it.
Do the math.
Look at Aaron tried to deny it, and he just could. He goes, you know what? Your logic is correct. So go to our friends at Absolute Abstract. They are sponsoring our show. And then a big thing is at the end, the first weekend in April, I am at Rooster T. Feathers, and we're doing some special things, okay? Some very, very special things. The first night is the Thursday. It's April 4th, and I have my good friends at Natural Cannabis Company. They're going to sponsor the first night. That means you come down, you enjoy the show, and afterwards, we're going to smoke everybody out. That's on the Thursday night at Rooster T. Feathers. The next 2 nights is straight stand-up, homeboy. Tripoli dropping hammer bombs. I got about an hour. By the way, today, listen to this, Aaron, is my 1-year anniversary of my comedy show, of my shooting my special at the Comedy Store, and I'm about 40 minutes into my next hour, so you're going to hear all of it at the Rooster T. Feathers. And then Sunday night, I'm doing something very special. I'm doing Sam Tripoli dropping mother of all truth bombs. It is a Q&A with me all night. Come out, rock out. So go to that, Rooster T. Feathers. Now, guys, real quick, the Patreon is killing it. Tinfoil Hat. Go to Tinfoil Hat Patreon. For you guys who hate Patreon, I'm now doing Subscribe Star. I'm going to get that going. But the Patreon is killing it. These Conspiracy Nows have been great. I have 2 Mex the Rapper on this week. And then next week, dude, the lineups are great. So go to patreon.com/tinfoil hat. And then, yeah, dude, we got a lot of stuff going on. The Instagram's killing it. We're dropping truth bombs on that. The Twitter is all great. And that is our whole spiel. What else do we got? No, that's later on. I'm very excited to have on our next guest. He is a returning champion, backed by popular demand. His book is The Octopus of Global Control. He's a giant Mike Trout fan, so we'll get in a little bit of that. Please welcome returning champion to Tinfoil Hat, Charlie Robinson. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
What's
going on, XG? How are you?
Good, and you?
What's new, buddy? What have you been up to?
I just got back from Anarchapulco about a month ago. That was great. You guys you're coming next year. You're coming. There's no doubt about it.
Write that in stone. But before we do it, you last time you were on here, you were talking about your book, Octopus of Global Control. For those who might not have been here or listened to the last show, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. It's a book that chronicles the voices of over 500 people that had some sort of role in some of the most important events in our history, not just United States history, but world history. I took the quotes from Rockefellers and Clintons and Bushes and people like that, but then I blended in some humor from George Carlin and Joe Rogan and guys like that to sort of paint the picture of what is going on in this world, the tentacles of this octopus that are controlling not just the United States, but globally. And they've been doing it for a long, long time. So it's a dark book. I interjected some humor in there. I've got a sick sense of humor, of course, and blended that in nicely. The book's available at, if you want to buy it from that weirdo Jeff Bezos who likes to take pictures of his dick, you can go to Amazon and do that. If you want to go to barnesnoble.com, you can get it there. If you want the ebook, you can come to my website, theoctopusofglobalcontrol.com. Just make over a $10 donation, and I'll send you the ebook. So it's available wherever you want it.
You're a G, dude. Amazon's a weird thing because, I'm in Hollywood. We're pitching shows. One of the places that buy now is Amazon. So what do? Do you not pitch to a place that is desperately looking for good programming? I mean, what do you do? That's the whole thing. It's like I just talked to some people that Tool is coming out with their new album soon, right? And where it is now, they're going to put their entire catalog on these streaming services because forever they were basically fighting it. Well, it's just basically now gotten to the point that there's no venues for them to not stream their thing. There's no way for them just to go straight to the consumer because iTunes are about to go straight to Apple Music, which is you're not going to be able to buy it. It's just going to be straight streaming, dude. That's how bad it's gotten because they're just going to get rid of their paying for your content. They're just going to go, hey, pay the $10 for the month like you do on Patreon. You do on, on
Spotify.
On Spotify and Pandora. That's where it's getting. So now they have to play in order to be relevant for these younger generation coming out. And that's kind of, so if you don't sell your book on Amazon, where are you going to sell it? Who's going to get it? I think about that all the time. What am I going to send? A carrier pigeon? Am I going to send you my special on a carrier pigeon? It's kind of crazy, man. But let's get into this what's it called? Anarchapulco?
Anarchapulco. Yeah. It's the first time I've gone. It was, this is year 5. It's an anarchist convention in Acapulco, Mexico. Also has, it's not just anarchy. It has cryptocurrency. It has health and wellness, things like that. So it's not exactly, it's not exactly what you would envision as being a bunch of guys throwing Molotov cocktails and wearing black bandanas. It was a pretty enlightening experience. It lasted a week. I was one of the speakers there. As soon as I got done speaking, I went around and listened to everybody else that was talking. David Icke was there. Ron Paul spoke. Dr. Cynthia McKinney. A lot of the alternative media. It's like the Super Bowl for the alternative media.
I
you know
love
how
it,
Super Bowl week, you go, all the players sort of go from one booth to the next and do all the interviews. There were a ton of guys there. Josh Sigurdson from World Alternative Media, Jason Goodman from Crowdsource the Truth, Luke Radowski from We Are Change. Jeff Berwick is the host of Anarchapulco, and he has the Anarchast, and he and I have written a book together. It'll be coming out pretty soon. So it was crazy. But I got to tell Jeffrey, yeah, there you go. There's the lineup. Really like the who's who of the alternative media, and some great musical guests too. Backwards was there. Immortal Technique played. So we had a really good time. And I think a lot of people envision a conference like that as being a bunch of great dreadlock wearing hippies twirling in the parking lot. And there was, of course, some of that, but mostly it was, there were people that were in their 20s, there were people that were in their 60s that were there. And as an example of one of the offsite events that they had, Friday night was three big full buses pulled up, and people paid $20 each to go at night to a nature sanctuary and release baby sea turtles into the ocean. So it wasn't exactly a bunch of morons running around getting wasted and acting like assholes. It was really a really well done event. Had a great time. And so what you could do is you could go to these you hear all these people talk during the day. Amazing speak, Max Egan, Benny Wills. And then afterwards, you could do like an a la carte add-on feature to it. And so I did on one night, I did ayahuasca. Started at 9 o'clock at night, went till 5 o'clock in the morning.
I love it,
8 times
dude.
in 8 hours, and went to another dimension. It was fucking fantastic.
I'm doing the next one. I'm making my girlfriend go. She doesn't do any of these psychedelics. I'm making her go to this ayahuasca thing. I'm going to the next one on this. See, I like that. I like that you're like, okay, it wasn't a bunch of Mohawk people running around with Molotov cocktails. One of the best advice I ever tried to give one of my friends, Tony Hinchcliffe, in comedy, because he wanted to be the villain of comedy. I go, who you want to be? What villain do you want to be? I go, do you want to be Lex Luthor, or do you want to be the Joker? And of course he said the Joker, because everyone thinks the Joker's cooler. I go, nah, dog, you want to be Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, nobody sees Lex Luthor coming. Nobody knows he's up to no good. And he lives in a mansion, he bangs tens, he drives nice cars. The Joker lives in the gutter with psychos and scumbags, and everyone's on the watch for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I like this thing. It's like, we don't have to have mohawks and fucking anarchy on our shirt. Like, you can bring chaos to the system without them seeing it coming. That's the best kind of chaos. I could light my hair up and be the craziest looking guy. I used to have a mohawk, but I had a gut, and I'm like, that's the worst combo, because you're like, hey, we want anarchy, but I'm too lazy to get off the couch. So my point is, like, I would prefer order. I would prefer order to the chaos. Don't let them know we're coming, dude. Obviously, we call it Anarchapulco, but still, it's like, I'd rather have order. I prefer an organization of gentlemen scumbags than a bunch of just dirtbags. That's just kind of my opinion. There's no.
Well, what it means, the definition of anarchy, it doesn't mean no rules. It means no rulers. And I think we could all agree that that's a good start, considering the piece of shit rulers that we currently have.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. I've talked that, we had, we're going to release it very soon, but we had the lady from the Venus Project in, and the question with that is, how do you deal with alphas? There's always going to be an alpha who wants to rule them all. How do we deal with that? I mean, because, like, I'm an alpha, you're an alpha, but we don't have this gotta win at all costs. And you have these psychopaths out there who they just want to rule it all, bang all the chicks, and have all the money. And it's just like, that always leads to some kind of societal hierarchy. And then we get into Anunnaki and these groups that have been, the more and more I learn about the Anunnaki and this controller group they created, it more and more makes sense to me. Like who are the royals? Why did the royals become royals? No one can ever tell me where these royals came from. They were just always there. There's always been pharaohs. There's always been leaders. And who anointed these motherfuckers? I look at the royal family, and I'm like, there's nothing like they could just take over. There's something about them that is off. And what are your thoughts on that? How do we have a society without somebody trying to take over?
Well, it's funny because at Anarchapulco, David Icke spoke. I got to hear him for 4 hours, and he's taken a lot of heat for his reptilian stuff in the past, and I think, and I can understand that. It's black belt conspiracy.
Boom!
Right?
There you go. You get it.
Lizard people on day one.
Yeah.
So. But he's been right about so many other things. The royal, talking about the pedophilia. And talking about the control system and the matrix and things like that, and one of the things he talked about was the royals and their bloodline, so to speak, and where did that bloodline come from, and tracing it back as far as they can trace it. And there's no doubt that there's a psychopathic trait to them. And they're also very concerned with rituals. They're very concerned with their kids being born on the spring solstice, summer solstice, or the spring equinox, and things like that. It matters to them. There's some sort of deep culture that is embedded in them that they care about, and it might not mean anything to us, but it certainly does to them. And so it's something that's worth looking into. Of course, the royal family, they're not even English. They're Germans. They're the Bauer family. And you've had some great guests on lately that can get into that probably way better than I can. But
they're all the same, dude. They're all from
the Anunnaki component to it. The Anunnaki part sounds a little crazy if when you hear that early on. But the more you look into it, the more it makes a little bit more sense when you've got these bloodlines and you talk about blue bloods. And you're like, what the fuck is blue bloods? You've been hearing that for your whole life, and it starts to make a little bit more sense when you blend that in with the Vatican, and how dark those guys are, and they are up to no good, of course. And it's a very, very evil and sinister agenda that they're putting forward. And then you have Prince Philip saying things like, when I die and reincarnate, I want to come back as a deadly virus so that I can wipe out the population. So that's sort of their motto in a nutshell.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more, Charlie. I mean, dude, just the things they do make no sense. The cancerous stuff they put into our food, the 5G effect on us. That sounds like a way to population control. And like we said last time, the one thing the farmer doesn't want is the cows unionizing, man. And when we all come together and we start questioning this stuff, that scares them. Now, I don't know what kind of pushback we can do dude, we're so engaged in fighting with each other. I don't even know if you could ever get everybody on the same page to do a pushback. But you're right, dude. Anunnaki is I don't even know if that's even black belt. That might be even red belt. It's like there's certain things that are black belt. It's like it's Michelle Obama, a man, the Holocaust, all this little thing that not that you believe in any of that stuff, but you can have a discussion without your head exploding, okay? And then Anunnaki is just that's a real leap of faith that you have to go lately I've been talking to people like that, and they just stare at me like I'm just spoke Latin to them.
It happened the other day in the lobby.
Yeah, and they're just like,
they were like, what the fuck? Yeah, Sam, great episode.
Yeah, when you tell people that, basically, according to, our last guest, that 2 guests ago, that John Potson, or whatever, I've pronounced his name, what is it?
John Potash.
Thank you, Charlie. John Potash. Basically says, that the whole power structure was built off the opium trade, and you tell people that, their heads explode. They can't grasp that kind of knowledge. And you go back to the serpent and all that stuff. It's a wonderful time to be alive. What is ayahuasca like? Because I'm going to do it, and I'm really I'm sober except for psychedelics. What is ayahuasca like?
Allow me to paint this picture for you.
Please do.
It is. So we were in a room. There was 40 of us in a room that had been cleared out. They brought in 10 shamans. These guys were so straight out of the jungle that they didn't even speak Spanish at this point. They were really new. And we chilled out for an hour on these mats. And then they brought us up one by one. And you drink this brown sludge that Graham Hancock described as tasting like a pile of dirty socks mixed with battery acid and just a hint of chocolate. And that's a pretty accurate description. It's fucking just revolting.
And how big was
You
the
drink
cup?
that, about a half an hour goes by. Maybe like a big shot, maybe like 2 shots from like a shot glass. Pretty muddy, real tough to get down, but whatever. That goes. You get about a half an hour in. Everybody has their own barf bucket, right? And of course, out of all 40 people, the whole thing I'm thinking is, don't be the first to throw up. Just whatever you do, don't be the first to throw up. Of course, who was the first to throw up? Me.
Boom.
Just couldn't help it, and I felt really bad. And then everybody, there was a lady throwing up in the corner, and a guy in that corner, and then the guy next to me, and everybody was throwing up. So I know that this is the worst sales pitch in the world for ayahuasca, but that's part of the deal, is that you got to drink this, and you throw up. Your hands start to feel clammy, you start to feel a little bit light, and it wasn't that overwhelming for me. A couple hours in, then you drink again, and it went 8. Well, I started at 9 o'clock and walked out the door at 5 o'clock. And by 5 o'clock, I was totally fine. But more than anything, my trip was fairly mild. If you've done mushrooms before, and I've done it maybe 24 times or so, it has I'm hesitant to say it's like mushrooms, but it definitely has a mushroom effect. The lightheadedness, feeling like you're floating. Couple times, things got a little overwhelming because they were chanting and they're they've got all this sage going and incense, and it does kind of feel like the parking lot of a Grateful Dead concert in there. It smells like it, and there's musicians playing, and these women were singing this beautiful song, and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. And then the shaman guys start in with this really aggressive chanting, this rah 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 rah, and then everyone's just like, whoa, and then everyone starts throwing up again, and it was really kind of it was like a roller coaster ride. And about halfway through it, I'm shaking my head, thinking, there's no negotiating. You can't stop this ride and decide, okay, I want to get off. It's too late for that. So you just kind of have to go with it. And I would go outside every now and then. And when I went outside, the lights were real bright, and everything was kind of twirling like you put a flashlight on a disco ball and sort of spun that around. And so, but you're conscious. It's kind of a weird thing. You're not. It's not like being really drunk where you're just making conversation. It doesn't make any sense. You're very conscious about what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I kept having the overwhelming trip that like, oh man, I got to reconnect with that guy. I haven't seen him so long. Why did we fade away? Like, well, oh, I moved away. I didn't keep in touch. I should call him. And then I was thinking about another person. Oh yeah, I should get a hold of him. So it was a very, very positive, very intense vibe. I can understand why people need to do it over and over again. And then I did a couple nights later, I did the DMT session.
Oh,
and the DMT session is like similar setting. But it wasn't like, I was kind of expecting, I've watched enough Rogan to hear his DMT things, and the smoking it, I think, is different. This one was like a pipe that they put up your nose, and they blow, they blow it up your nose. It's like doing rails, but it drips down the back, of course, and it's like the worst taste. But that was, I didn't see machine elves, and I didn't get blasted backwards into the universe at light speed.
Did
or
you
anything
look
like that.
upstairs? Did you look into the
sky?
sky?
I had also a very similar ayahuasca thing.
Did you look into the sky and see, like when you smoke DMT, you look up, you go, oh fuck, that looks like a dome, dude. I swear to God, you look up and you're like, is that a fucking dome? I'm telling you, bro. So
like a stadium?
No, like when they talk about we live in a
okay, they're like
and there's a dome above us. You look up and it looks like little like pieces like this are put together all over the place, and it's just like you're like, whoa, what the fuck is that? It's interesting, man. It's interesting. Yeah. I think
I didn't get that. I didn't get that trip. I'd like to get that trip, but I think that has to do with this, maybe the smoking it and the different way. I did 5-MeO DMT, and they had blindfolds on all of us, and then they had people going around with music, and so it was a very auditory trip. It wasn't as visual. I had similar feelings. The feeling with that one was more like sitting in front of an old projector and watching a movie of your life, of certain parts of your life. It was like you were there again. So it was kind of like defending your life, when they're forced to watch scenes from their life. So I didn't get that. I didn't get that geometric trip that people talk about, and I'm excited to do it at some point and try it and see if I can go.
When you gonna be in LA again, dude? When you gonna be in?
It had to do with the.
When you gonna be in LA, Charlie?
I'm sorry. What?
When you gonna be back in LA?
All the time.
You hit me up. We're gonna make this happen, dude. We're gonna figure this out.
Probably. Let's do it. I'm up for that for sure.
I'm down. We'll get XG over there.
Go on a work trip.
Yeah, dude. Write it off on your taxes for the next book, dude. For the next book. I want to write a book. I want to write a book.
It's funny because, I was telling my wife that, I went to the Anarchapulco by myself because, it was a business trip for me really. But she's like, you're going to do all this stuff. Are you out of your mind? And I said, you go to trips and stay at a hotel, you'll go to the spa, right? You'll get like a massage or something. Like, I'm just going to another dimension, same sort of thing. It cost $250. It was worth $500, and about halfway through the ayahuasca I would have paid $1,000 to make the vomiting stop. So it was a trip for sure. I highly recommend it.
I'm going to do it. I think the first weekend in June there's a big ayahuasca retreat going on. I've been asked to go that. I think I'm going to pony up the cash and check it out. Like, I'm all about that, dog. I'm like, what can I experience that will make me feel, I did LSD a little while ago, and it's not shrooms. And after the episode, I don't know if I want to do it again, but it is not mushrooms at all.
It's chemical.
It's so shrooms are really my thing, and I don't want to touch anything else, alcohol or any other drugs, but once in a while you got to talk to God. Now, I want to get into another subject with you, Charlie. You brought up that you wanted to talk a little bit about the college entrance scandal. You went to USC and you have a couple funny stories, but you think it's a big scandal, and I'm wondering if it is really a big scandal or just another smokescreen to cover up on other bigger scandals going on. What's your thoughts on that?
My thought is that I'm in favor of this entrance scandal because if someone wants to pay $250,000 just to get into USC, it just made the value of my tuition go up even more. So I'm fuck it, go for it. I don't care. Look, USC is a dirty school. Okay,
yeah.
I graduated from there in '95. I've got a story about. So when I was a senior in high school, I applied, and my buddy applied to USC. He got a letter back from USC saying, we just want to confirm all of your information. This is your name. This is your social security number. This is the school you go to. You're African American. And then it says, if there's anything wrong, please write in here and fill out any corrections. And he just writes in, I'm not African American, I'm white, right? So he folds that up, puts it in the envelope, puts it in the mail. The very next day, he gets a letter from USC saying, we regret to inform you that your application has been denied. And he's like, what the hell? Now, he had better grades than I had. His dad went to USC. His dad was the captain of the football team and when they won the national championship with OJ.
Really,
so his dad is a legacy. He's got better grades than me. I got in. He should be getting in, right? He's like, what the hell? When he gets this letter, about 2 weeks later, after his rebuttal, when he corrected them, had time to get to USC and then get back, he gets another letter 2 weeks later saying, congratulations, you've been accepted. So when they thought he was black, they rejected him. Once they figured out he was white, they sent him a new letter accepting him. And I swear to God, I saw it with my own eyes. It was unbelievable. And he said, I'm not going there. He wound up going to a different school. He was so repulsed by that.
Do you think that would happen today? Because I think almost there's this push for diversity. Do you think that would happen today if he had applied?
Might happen in reverse.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it might be totally backwards. Well, here's another thing. So when I was at USC, I was on financial aid. I was not one of the kids whose parents wrote the big check and they just were able to go there and no big deal. And every time, because I was on financial aid, every time it was time for me to register for my classes, there was a registration. So I couldn't register. So I would go to the financial aid office and they'd say, oh yeah, you got to go to this office. Then I'd go to admissions and they'd say, oh, you got to go to this office. I'd go to another office. 3 days later, the hold would be removed and I could register for classes. But at that time, I was picking through all the leftover classes because everybody else who had just written the check didn't ever have a hold on their registration. They could pick whatever they wanted. This went on semester after semester. And I remember my senior year, it happened again. And I said to my roommate, okay, I'm going to try something different this time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to this office. I'm not going to that office. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to sit on my ass and do nothing. And I'm going to tell you, in 3 days, I bet you my registration hold will magically disappear and I'll be able to pick through my classes. And that's exactly what happened. They would put a registration hold on people that were on financial aid so that everyone else could get the best classes. It's fucking true. It happened to me. It happened to me every semester I was there. And that's USC for you in a nutshell. Look, I have a degree from there. I should be proud. I'm not one of those rah USC fans that are super obnoxious, and you know them in Southern California. Believe me, they're everywhere, as you know. But that school is dirty. It's dirty. I mean, look, it's.
Listen,
and then
dude.
you see this admissions scandal, which you said is not really a.
It's not.
It's not really a scandal. This is. Why is anyone actually surprised?
Because it's a distraction. And anybody see the smoke show that they tried to pay? They had to pay $200 million to basically get like her and her brother in. I mean, it's like the girl's a smoke show. And then you let your daughter on a yacht with these fucking the administrator. You don't think they're running trains on that chick? Like, dude, it's like literally you're like, my daughter's hot, light her up, just give her an education so she can just like meet a pro athlete and get knocked out. I mean, like, it's the most ridiculous waste of time ever. And it's just all these kind of scandals. And, with the FBI scandal. And now this Mike Avaranti guy or whatever his name. How do you pronounce his name? The lawyer who's got the Nike deal. Good, like he got
Michael Avenatti.
Yeah, he's trying to fucking. They say he's extorting, but the truth is, I mean, I think he's a scumbag and he's a porn lawyer. And I'm not a Trump guy. I don't trust any president, but he's like a super scumbag. Okay, and first of all, now you're fucking with Nike and you're fucking with Trump, dude. You can maybe in your life you can fuck with one billionaire. You can't fuck with multiple billionaires and not expect to get lit the fuck up. But the truth is that Nike, just like these other guys, whether it was Adidas or whatever the other scandal was, like they're all dirty. And this Coach K from Duke bullshit that this guy has. I've been in LA long enough, dude. I know that dude. I've seen that dude 1,000 fucking times. That guy who just loves the women. Like Coach K is like a male feminist, right? He's just like always for the good and always loving. And behind the scenes, that dude is cutthroat. You don't get there unless you're cutthroat, which I don't mind. But now the NCAA and ESPN is basically protecting Duke, protecting Alabama football because they're giant ratings, and these guys are getting away with shit that other programs get fucking crippled for. I mean, like, look at LSU's coach. He wasn't even involved with it. He's just talking about how these middlemen are taking all the money. He's out. You got Zion, Coach K. You got Zion, the dude who got busted. And I love Zion, dude. I love Zion. He should get paid everything he wants. But this guy got busted asking for money, housing, and jobs for his family at another school. And you're telling me he knows he's going to be on campus for 6 months and he goes to Coach K just because he really wants to be part of the tradition? You're fucking full of shit, man. But you're protecting Duke, ESPN, because they're just giant ratings people, and that drives me nuts. And I don't know the point of the question is, but do you believe that all this is just a cover-up for the FBI not going after anybody for real?
I think we need Bet DSI to hurry up
and do these
conspiracy bets going, because I want to know what the over-under is on how long until Michael Avenatti suicides himself.
Oh, dude, what about the last three?
That dude is asking for trouble, like you said.
What about the last three? Over the last week, 3 people from these quote unquote these school shootings have off themselves. 3 of them in like a week span.
Yeah. Looks like they're tying up some loose ends there.
Dude, it is creepy as shit. And my girlfriend's like, these things are happening. They do happen, man. They do happen. But when you're associated with 2 of the craziest like incidents where people question what's going on, okay, and you get off. It's like you don't know what those people were telling the other people. You don't know what was going on with that, and it's just crazy how and they're all the same, like guns or I don't even know was it guns or hanging. It's like really crazy, dude, really crazy.
Well, and if you remember the Las Vegas, some of the Las Vegas shooting victims too, when they got home, they wound up turning up dead as well. So this is happening. It's not coincident. Yeah, one or two, maybe, but to have a string of these happening all at once because they just decided this week that they're all full of grief and survivor's remorse that they can't go on and get the fuck out of here. That's such a bullshit story. There's more to this. There's for sure more to this. And like you said, we don't know what they're saying behind the scenes. For all I know, some guy decided he grew a conscience and said, I can't live with myself. I'm going to blow the whistle on this, told his buddy. Next thing you know, he's decided to commit suicide. I mean, these things happen all the time. If you dig into this and you understand how these programs work and you realize who's running it. One of the things that I had when I was at Anarchapulco, you can hang out with all these people, these speakers, they're everywhere. I spent a couple hours in the bar with Ole Damagard talking about Operation Gladio, and he talked about these events, and he's like an encyclopedia of conspiracy and false flag knowledge. I mean, you got to have him on your show. By the way, he's a phenomenal human being, and he's great. But he talked about this Operation Gladio, and the first time you hear it, you go, this sounds a little crazy. Well, of course it sounds crazy. It should sound crazy the first time you're hearing it, but the more you hear it, the more you dig into it, and the more you see, he has put together that this is a traveling road show of false flags, that they go from NATO base to NATO base, and that they leave certain calling cards behind. And if you would analyze the crime scenes and you see all the shoes laying around, and you can find clues and you can use them to piece together you can use them to piece together not just what happened at that event, but what might happen in a future event too. As an example, there was somebody that was in a shooting, and they had sweatpants that just said Las Vegas going down the side, and someone said, you know what? Keep an eye on Las Vegas. And 2 weeks later, boom, that was the Route 91 Harvest Festival, which of course happened in front of a gigantic pyramid with a fucking obelisk right there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dark symbolism going on here. To the casual observer, it means nothing. It's another school shooting. Oh, isn't this terrible? We got to take the guns. We gotta be careful. We gotta watch out for the kids. But to people that are trained in this, there is so much more that is happening. It is like peeling an onion, and you've had some great guests on lately that have talked about these things, and they're very real. It's not. It's easy to dismiss it. It's easy for people to say you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. But how come people can? How come I can look at an event right as it happens and say there's going to be 4 or 5 things that I can tell you right now are going to happen. Manifestos. People are going to die in suicides. Their apartments are going to be ransacked by the media. This is going to be, there are going to be reports of multiple shooters, but only one person will be arrested. They're all going to be on psychotropic drugs.
Yeah.
It becomes like a checklist of all these things. And so, what does that make of
physics? The laws of physics.
You're not psychic.
Yeah.
You just understand the plan. And I think we in this audience, the tinfoil hat audience gets it.
The laws of physics get broken. A building falling at the rate of gravity. A bullet taking a U-turn and coming back. Fires. Build a metal. Being burnt by forest fires when metal burns at 2,500 degrees, and forest fires at the hottest they get is 1,500 degrees. Like just breaking the rules of physics. Now, another thing I love is like we are now in a murder entertainment era of of pop culture. We can't get enough of murder television, murder docs. And what do we learn from these docs? That people get framed, that they don't always get the real murderer, and everybody's upset. Everybody's going, release Steve Avery, and the list goes out, and they should get released. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you talk about these shootings, when they involve children, how people just shut down and go, fuck you, don't say anything. These are children. But I go, what if it's not the real killer? Do you want the real killer? They don't even want to hear it. It's disrespectful to ask questions when I don't know why, when all these people rush home to watch docs that are dealing with the same thing on a smaller scale. 1 individual dying, 2 individual dying. But when it comes to this big thing, they don't want to hear any of it. They don't want to hear any of it because you know what? That means because one, they got to start asking questions. 2, that might cause them to question their own existence. 3, that makes them question why they brought their children into this world. 4, that might stop the gravy train. And all of that is like, all that other stuff overrides their desire to find out who really is behind everything. And that's what drives me crazy. Because we're always right, Charlie. We've always been right. Maybe as a little...
If I die under mysterious circumstances, I want people to investigate it. It's not disrespectful for me for someone to go out and find the actual truth of it. It's the exact opposite. So when people say, "How dare you? You're disrespecting the lives of these kids." First of all, you're making the assumption that the kids are actually dead. In some of these cases, they are not. Okay, sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but not always. And who cares? Okay, if they're dead, how is it disrespectful to try and find out the truth? Because if you find out the truth, maybe you can prevent it from happening to another batch of kids. What are we supposed to just sit back and enjoy the news like it's some sort of television show and just some sort of like movie that we're watching? When the answer is yes, they actually want us to sit back and do nothing. That's why I'm so skeptical of this Q component, because the Q component is trust the plan. Leave it to POTUS, leave it to Trump. Trump's coming in on a white horse with his orange face to save the deal. No. Anytime somebody tells you to sit back and do nothing and put it in someone else's hands, that is a huge red flag. You do not want to do that. You do the exact opposite. The only way this stuff is going to change is if you get involved and you dig into the facts and you find out what's really going on. If what you know about these mass shootings is what you got off the evening news, then you know nothing about them, because there's so much more to it. They're conspiring in this with the people. Maybe not Anderson Cooper. Maybe Anderson Cooper wasn't given the memo on all this, but he certainly knows that he's not allowed to ask any tough questions. Not that he would.
He's given the memo. But
there's a certain... He might be given the memo as he's drinking children's blood.
Yeah, for sure. He's a Vanderbilt.
But it's not... My point is that digging into this is the most respectful thing you can do. It's trying to figure out who's really involved. Is it some wacko kid that got teased at school and then went home and got a gun? I don't know, maybe. Let's figure it out. But I'm not going to take the FBI's word for it, and I'm not going to take the mainstream media's word for it. I'm not going to take the sheriff of Broward County's word for it, or the sheriff of Las Vegas. I'm just not going to. These are people that cannot be trusted. So, let's dig around in it. And so lately, what we've had in the last week is, of course, the new third rail, the New Zealand shooting. Well, if the New Zealand shooting is what it appears to be, and maybe it is, and maybe it isn't, then why are we not allowed to see the video? Why is that punishable by jail time? That is such an unnatural response to something like this. And I don't buy that argument that they say, well, we don't want to traumatize people. Bullshit. I've watched the buildings of 9/11 come down 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I've watched airplanes slam into buildings all the time. I've watched Columbine all the time. So now all of a sudden they want to spare me? Give me a break. That's such baloney. We know that's not the case. So if that's not the case, why don't they want people digging into this? And the answer is that they put together a story that doesn't necessarily hold up. I'm not saying that it's fake. I'm not saying that people didn't die. I don't know. But what I do know is that the response from the media, the immediate response from the New Zealand Prime Minister to ban automatic weapons there, says to me gigantic red flags. The fact that there were alleged to be multiple shooters right off the bat and then only one guy gets arrested and he's doing the hand signs and all that stuff. Everything about that is suspect as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not buying the official story. I'm not, I think that there's more work to do, but for us to want to know what the truth is in no way disrespectful. It's the exact opposite of that. It's the most respectful thing. It's our duty, in fact, to dig into it. The goddamn mainstream media isn't doing their job, so somebody has to do it for them.
Hey, did you see this is coming out just from the Miami Herald? Bill that would block recording of mass violence heads to House and Senate. Why would they pass this bill? Why would you say make it illegal to record mass shootings if fucking you weren't trying to hide everything? Oh, we don't want people to do this Facebook Live. By the way, if I whip my dick out on Facebook, it gets taken down. Why does this guy's video go fucking 18 minutes? I mean, like, dude, why are they? It's like when they try to pass a law that says you can't record cops or you can't record fucking animals getting slaughtered. They don't want you to see something. It is fucking up their fucking gig, dude. And they're trying to control the internet. And the truth of the matter is there's people out there way smarter than them that just are one step ahead. So you fucking block one thing, there's a new way to see it. And it's blood in the water. And I don't know if they're that smart. They want it to happen, but I think they created something and it's gotten away from them, dude. And you're totally right with Trump, man. I find it very amazing how, like, everybody on the right, and listen, I'm a truther, dude. I'm like you. We're in the truth community, and I see that people are going crazy about the Mueller shit, and we'll get into Mueller in a few. But when I go, oh, what about weapons of mass destruction? They back off like, oh, that was a while ago. People make mistakes. Like, no, dude. This is just, the Russiagate is just the left's version of fucking weapons of mass destruction. Now, weapons of mass destruction has caused more deaths, obviously. But you know what? This Russian thing has allowed Trump some time to get away with stuff that we should be questioning, like selling arms to fucking the Saudis, being part of the genocide in Yemen, the fucking giving away land to Israel that's in Syria that Israel has no right to. That they sold the land rights because there's oil there already, okay? What's going on in Venezuela that we don't have anything? And now we're fucking with Venezuela, who is straight up fucking a partner with Russia. It's like, you gotta question these things. Because we are, dude, I don't think the Nazis got destroyed. I think they just fucking got into expansion draft, and we are part of their globalization movement that they were doing way back in the day. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry. I'm on Bet DSI betting on when Rachel Maddow is going to commit suicide.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm with Charlie. You're one of the best.
Yeah, look, the Nazis didn't die. They weren't put out of business. They were relocated here under Operation Paperclip and started NASA. Of course, our government has been taken over by that group of people. You look into Prescott Bush working with them. George H.W. Bush, of course, Apple didn't fall far from that psychotic tree. And then, of course, his son. I mean, we're being controlled. This is no longer the United States. America has lost control of this whole thing. You know, we talk about foreign interference in the election as Russia. It's all we hear for 2 fucking years is Russia this, Russia that. If we want to talk about actual foreign interference in the U.S. election, why aren't we talking about Israel?
There we go.
Why aren't we talking about them? They've got half the people in Congress are dual citizens. They've got Trump wrapped around their finger. I mean, I think that people are so. Did Russia want to have a say in the election? I'm sure they probably did. Did Facebook ads do it? Give me a break.
Yeah.
Of course not. But they're low on my list of priorities as far as foreign governments interfere. And by the way, how hypocritical is it that the United States is all up in arms about maybe Russia interfered with our elections? Well, we do the exact same fucking thing to every country that we try to take over. What are we doing in Venezuela? I went back and rewatched the show when I was on with you guys 6 months ago, and I said, mark my words, we will be involved in a conflict with Venezuela because they have oil and they have a dictator or they have a president that doesn't work well with us, and here we are 6 months later, and it's exactly what's happened. That's not even really calling my own shot, because that is so obvious to anybody that has a brain and understands how our foreign policy works, that when you have someplace with all that oil, we're going to go out there and try and get it. Think of the psychopaths that are in charge of our government. Think of Mike Pompeo is saying that he thinks that maybe God put Donald Trump in the White House to be the protector of Israel. Oh. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, they call it a state, dude. It's called the state of Israel. He is in a position of power, and he thinks this. It's called the state of Israel. It's not called the country of Israel. It is literally called the state of Israel. There is an argument that it's our Alaska over there. I mean, and I know there's a good argument they run us, But it's called the State of Israel. It's not called the country of Israel. It is called the State of Israel. We have states. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I think the U.S. and Israel have a lot in common because you watch the way the United States was formed. They took over a land where other people were already there.
Yeah.
They drove them off, murdered them, gave them smallpox-infested blankets, and put them in concentration camps. It's exactly what Israel's been doing to Palestine for the last 50, 60 years. So, I mean, we have quite a bit in common as far as this. But, of course, that sort of talk will get you deplatformed on social media and maybe even kicked off YouTube, because God forbid you actually start to tell the truth about the elephant in the room that is controlling American foreign policy, and it isn't America. And so, it becomes this gigantic problem when you start to expose the most obvious thing. So the whole world seems to have been turned upside down lately. It's amazing.
We live in crazy times, and it's busy times, and that's why when you're super busy, I want you to give our new sponsors a chance. It's HelloFresh, everybody. HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that shops, plans, and delivers step-by-step recipes per measured ingredients so you can just cook, eat, and enjoy. It's very simple, guys. HelloFresh makes conquering the kitchen a reality with delicious, simple recipes. Cooking is enjoyable and easy with HelloFresh. All the meals come together in a 30-minute max, calls for less than 2 pots and pans, and it requires minimum cleanup. It's so easy now, making delicious part of your every week. 3 plans to choose from: classic, veggie, family, with options to switch in between those when you feel like your taste change. You can go from veggie to classic to family. You can mix it up. Enjoy a fun menu features with HelloFresh. Fresh's dinner to lunch. 20 meals, gourmet, one pot, wonders among more. Okay, it's that easy. That's right. All you have to do is go to my good friends and go to HelloFresh.com/tinfoilhat80. Why the 80? Well, if you're a tinfoil hat listener, you're going to get $80 off your first month of HelloFresh. That's right. Just go to HelloFresh.com, tinfoilhat80, and enter tinfoilhat80. So you go to HelloFresh.com/tinfoilhat80 and enter tinfoilhat80. Now, full thing, I've ordered this. It's coming in. They're supposed to send it to me. They sent to my good friend Corey. So ours is in the main. I'm going to get myself. I'm going to get XG some. And we're going to tell you how much I love it. But I like it simple. I like it easy. I got all the skills in the world. I'm not a cooker. This makes it easy.
20 minutes. You're always running late. 20 minutes.
I'm always running
quick.
Pop it in, get it out.
No more 7-Eleven.
No more 7-Eleven ordering seafood like a scumbag. I can get real food thanks to our new friends at HelloFresh. We appreciate them because we have big things coming and they're a big part of it. So talk to me, Henry. What is this? You brought up something in your email that I didn't even know about, and that was NewsGuard, is it called? Is it called NewsGuard? Yeah, NewsGuard. What is NewsGuard? Please tell me about this.
So NewsGuard is a new company that has decided that they're going to rate which websites are to be trusted and not trusted for fake news. They're going to give you a green, yellow, or red rating, and it's a plug-in that connects through your browser. What they've done right now is they've put this company together, and they've got it going into universities and schools, universities, and libraries right now. Started it in Hawaii. They're branching it out to all the states. They plan to take it international. So what you would do is you'd go to say Fox News, right? At foxnews.com, and it would give you a green rating, meaning that their news is to be trusted because it's accurate. You would go to tinfoilhat.com, and you would get a big red rating there, a big stop sign.
If you can get on
and that is because you are you're a conspiracy theorist, and your facts are all wrong, and you're full of lies, and we're going to give you this rating. Now, of course, this is preposterous because this company, when you dig into who they really are, you will find that this is the bar from Star Wars. Okay, it is filled with globalist scumbags of epic proportions. So I'm going to read you just a couple of people. So it's founded by 2 guys. One guy, Stephen Brill. He's the guy who started Court TV, member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Remember that, because that's going to be a overriding theme throughout all these people. The next guy is L. Gordon Kravitz. He is the former executive vice president of Dow Jones. He's the editor of Wall Street Journal. He's a board member of Business Insider, which received $30 million from the Washington Post. Want to guess what kind of rating Washington Post has? Of course, it has a green rating because they're supposed to be the truth. He's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. He's edited books that were published by American Enterprise Institute. And if that name doesn't ring a bell, that's Project for a New American Century that has changed their name. Okay, so he's in with that crowd. He's been busted for lying about NSA surveillance. He's a full-blown scumbag. So what they did is they went ahead and put together a board of directors. And the board of directors is an interesting group. So if you're wondering where they got the red, yellow, green stop sign concept, they got that from Tom Ridge. Tom Ridge was the first director of Homeland Security. Remember, he gave you the color-coded terrorist threat system. Oh, no, it's bright red. That means that we're going to, there's going to be another explosion coming these days. So he's on their board. If you're putting together a company that is going to manage the expectations of people, tell who is to be trusted and who is not trusted, who is the last person in the world you would put on your board of directors? Well, you would put Michael Hayden. Michael Hayden's the former director of the NSA. He's the former director of the CIA. He is a member of the Chertoff Group. He's the chairman of the board of BAE Systems, which is a British bomb manufacturing company, and he's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Another guy that's on their board is a guy that you've mentioned before. His name is Richard Stengel, which doesn't really ring a bell. He's the former editor of Time magazine. He's a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic Council, and he is, you know who he is. He worked in the Obama White House, and he described his job, he called him in the State Department as chief propagandist. He's the guy on the video at the Council on Foreign Relations and that panel discussion where he's saying, I like propaganda. I think propaganda is good. I think there's a place for it. And he's that fucking guy. And he's the on their board of directors.
He's the opposite of what, Nick Pope? Is that his name? The UFO expert who doesn't believe in UFOs. If you're the head of propaganda, you should believe in propaganda. Would you agree? I mean, like, that's crazy. Now, here's my big problem with all this is like, these guys, who defines what fake news is? Because more and more we're finding now with this, when we'll get into it, the Mueller investigation, which spurred the fake news, which was from the Russians were putting out fake news. We find that whole thing is crashed and burned. It doesn't exist. So where's fake news coming from? If we found out, I mean, like, this sounds like this is from, like, when they sound like is NewsGuard trying to get us ready for Y2K as well? You know, because our computers might crash. It's just like fake news seemed like a monster from 2016 that in 2019 makes no fucking sense. Because we found out that was all a lie. And anybody with any fucking brains knows that this is all bullshit, okay? So who is going to get into this? Who's going to tell you this isn't good? Is it going to be harder to get to my website? Is like GoDaddy or whoever's hosting my website going to put up a warning? How do they plan on... Basically, I mean, because you can go to WikiLeaks right now, and they list of fake news websites. Interesting, Infowars is on there, which I find hilarious. How right that guy is. He's not perfect, but and I have my issues with him as well. But it's like, why is Infowars on there? Why is Infowars there when he's been right about the Russian shit? He's been right about wiretapping Trump and all that shit. Who defines this? How does this still hold after the Mueller investigation comes out and they find no collusion?
Well, it's who defines it are people like Michael Hayden and Richard Stengel, these guys that are on the board of directors. They define it. The ex-head of the CIA and the ex-head of NASA is going to tell you what the truth is. I mean, it's laughable. It would actually be more laughable if it wasn't so goddamn scary, because there's a second component to that, and it's called brand guard. So NewsGuard is going to take all these websites and assign them a rating, right? A color scheme. And so if you're just an average guy and you wind up on InfoWars, you're going to see a big red sign that says no. So you're going to go, oh, okay, well, this must be fake news. So I'm going to go to the green site, which is real. Obviously, we all know that that's completely inverted. But then there's BrandGuard is a separate component. And what that does is this is a program that they'll license out to the advertising agencies. And they'll say to the advertising agencies, look, fake news is a big problem. You have all these advertisers that want to advertise, but they're afraid of their brand being associated with the wrong content. They're afraid of being associated with fake news. So what we're going to do is you license the software from us. We will tell you which websites your advertisers should advertise on and which ones they shouldn't advertise on. So if you're James Corbett Report, he's going to get a big red stop sign. And then all of the advertisers that might have advertised on him, if they'd come through an ad agency, which a lot of them do. I used to work for an ad agency, so I understand how it works. The media buyers and the media planners figure out where they're gonna place these ads. His site will come up as do not advertise on. So they're going to get you that way. They're going to try and take away your ad revenue and try and bleed you dry in that component as well. So if the people decide, yeah, it's got a red X on it, I don't care. I will, I'll still see it anyway. That's one thing, but they can take away your finances by going after, by limiting the amount of advertisers that would consider your page as a place to advertise. And then what's nice about this from Google or Facebook's point of view is that they don't have to be the bad guys anymore. They can say, hey, don't blame us. NewsGuard is who we've outsourced this to. So if you have a problem, take it up with them. We're not telling people that your site isn't any good. They are, So this is just a way to get to buy a little distance for themselves, so that they don't look like the bad guys.
Extra
of course,
step.
It's totally corrupt.
Like,
and this is their plan. By the way, they're super connected to ad agencies. And the funding for this NewsGuard is coming from some really, really big players that have dirty ties to public relations firms that have represented Union Carbide in the Bhopal explosion. They represent Monsanto and Bayer. So you've got money and influence that comes from representing some of the dregs of humanity, like Monsanto, and they're going to finance this. So what do you think if you've got a website and you're going to run a critical story about how GMOs are killing people, and this company NewsGuard has an advisor on their board that is a board member of Monsanto? Do you think you're going to get a big red X on the website? You goddamn right you will. That's because they're going to make sure of it. So the pharmaceutical industry, the military industrial complex, and the big advertising and public relations firms are backers of this company. So what they're going to do is they're going to go hunt down anybody that's critical of those three industries. You're anti-war, boom, red star. You're going to get a big X on you. You're going to get no ad revenue. So this is the most dangerous company to free speech that nobody's ever heard of. It's new. It's out there. Take a look at it. Check it out, because you'll start to see it coming up pretty soon. And, obviously the viewers here, I'm one of them. We know what's up. We're not falling for this bullshit, but your parents might, or your friends might. So it's worth explaining to them that there's more to this company than what you see. Don't just assume that they're telling you the truth when they put a rating on one of these websites, because there's a way more to the story than what you might think.
Oh, man, I mean, it's so interesting how they're trying to control the message. And I just think I know that this is too many steps. I know my mother isn't going to check out any of this stuff. I know my listeners will go to me. I want people also to start checking out these other websites. I think it's very important to support the websites that are trying to get out the freedom of speech, which is gab.com. That's gab.com. It's slow growing, man, but it's like Twitter, but for free speech. Go check it out. You can find mine if you go to a tinfoil hat on that, or I think it's gab.com, Sam Tripoli. You can see it on there. And then BitChute. I want BITCHUTE.com /tinfoil hat. All the videos go up on there. So if anything happens with our YouTube channel, you'll always be able to find the back videos there. I think it's very important. Can you find those real quick and show them what they look like? This is the gab.com, okay? GAB.com. All the BitChute videos are there. If you go to BitChute, can you check it out? BITCHUTE.com/tinfoil hat. Check that out because I'm putting all the, there we go. See, that's where the videos are going right there. You get all the videos right there. You could support it, and it just really, it's for freedom of speech. They're trying their hardest to keep it freedom of speech. Eventually some guy will try to put kiddie porn on there and they'll ruin it. And then all of a sudden the censors will come in because some scumbag always has to ruin it. It always has to be the worst. Now, I want to talk to you, but obviously we'll move into the other thing. Now that the Mueller Russian Gate bullshit is over, like, what is your feeling over the last 3 years, Charlie? Like the people have been pushing this. Like, we've seen a lot of the guys who pushed the weapons of mass destruction on Fox News. They're gone. Some reason Sean Hannity's still there. What happens at MSNBC where they push this narrative that everybody knew in the truth community was basically, they basically set these guys up. What's that called? In the news. It was basically, they basically set it up. They had Carter Page and Stephen Helper set this whole entrapment. It's called entrapment. It was entrapment on Palapalapapadis or whatever his name is. They did entrapment, and people were looking away because it was the Orange Man and nobody cared. And now that basically Robert Mueller, who is a pure scumbag, came out and said he couldn't find anything, and whether he really was trying or not, because I think Trump has been doing a lot of what the deep state likes. I know people are going to get mad when they hear this, okay, and I say those words. It drives them nuts, but if you look what he's doing, yes, he's going after the pedophiles, and that means a lot to me, but there's a lot of other stuff with foreign policy that's straight up deep state shit. What do you think happens with MSNBC?
Well, actually, first, let me go back really quick and just say that one more place to get some really good information, Facebook page, Tinfoil Hat. That group is filled with some smart dudes in there.
Charlie,
Ben
you're
Wall,
the best.
Bancroft, Jarek Ray, those guys. If you don't bring it in there, they will clobber you. So get in there, be a member of that group.
Dude,
there's some good information.
I love you,
There's some
Charlie.
smart motherfuckers in there
You
too.
are the best hype man ever, dude.
But as far as look, MSNBC, it's got to be like a funeral over there, right? The lead up for this is like watching a porno for 2.5 years and getting to the end, and then it's just like the limp.
No
Yeah.
cum
Like
shot.
there's nothing there, and what and they're not going to stop. Now they're like, oh well, what really happened is Trump got to him, so he can't say what he really wanted to say. It's like it never ends. There's no end to this. We all knew this was bullshit from the beginning. Is Donald Trump corruptible? Of course. None of them. We don't like Hillary. We don't like Donald Trump. We understand that these people are psychopaths, that they're totally compromised. But I don't know that. If you think that the Russians through this election, just because of Facebook ads, you're out of your mind. So MSNBC has concocted this whole thing. Here's my theory on it, and I can't prove it, but I think this might actually be part of it. Nobody expected Hillary to lose. She took a lot of money into the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative, hundreds of millions, if not billions and billions of dollars that came in on the assumption that she was going to win. She thought she was going to win. She mailed it in for the last month. She didn't show up. She dropped dead or whatever on 9/11, being dragged into a van. She mailed it in. She thought she had it in the bag. When it didn't happen, all of those people that contributed money to her account went, what are you going to do now? We want our money back.
Yeah.
Well, that money's gone, right? Of course, it's gone. And she said, I didn't lose the election. The Russians stole it from me. That's what happened. They're the problem. It wasn't me, because God forbid Hillary ever take any responsibility for anything she's ever done. It was them. It was those dirty Russians. We got to get them. And what does MSNBC and CNN do? They jump right on board, because here we go. This is a great story. Oh, Trump colluded with the Russians. He didn't actually win. How could he win? He's a reprehensible human being. Of course he is, but so is she. You know, you had the two worst candidates in the world. So they think, oh, well, the only way Donald Trump could have possibly won is if somebody threw it for him. Well, you know, I think the Russians probably cared who won, but I've said this before, I've said it, and I'll say it again. They had already been working with Hillary Clinton on the Uranium One deal. So it's not like, you know, it's not like they didn't think they could work with her. I don't think that mattered who got in. But as far as their collusion, as far as throwing the election in his favor, I think the Russians would prefer to have Clinton in there, to be honest with you. They've already worked with her. They know how dirty she is. Of course, Trump's just as dirty, but he's an amateur. He's not even playing the game the right way. I think MSNBC and CNN will have to spin this, because the last thing they're going to do is actually go, okay, you know, we were wrong. We got it wrong. We're sorry. We got it wrong. That's never going to happen, right? They're never going to admit that. They're going to say, there's more to this story. We're going to find out there's more. They're so deep that we can't even tell you what's happening. We're going to get into it, and they're just going to continue, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is just, frankly, it's embarrassing. The mainstream media has embarrassed themselves over the last decade, but this has taken it to a new low. And I think MSNBC and CNN and all those scumbags in there, and Fox too, because I don't think that they're all that much more.
No, dude, stop. Fox News is
but they should take them all and just flush them down the toilet.
Good. I don't know how we've gotten, this is how bad MSNBC is, that we've gotten to the point where we're starting to question whether Fox News is a legitimate thing. Let's not forget they helped light us in to the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Weapons of mass destruction is on par with Russian collusion. I would say even worse, because more people have died, okay? Let's not forget that. Let's not pretend that's bygone. We are still in Afghanistan. We are still guarding poppy fields. We are still killing people in the Middle East. We're still dropping bombs in those. Now, I guess somebody said we pulled out of Iraq. We still have permanent bases there. Even Trump said he's going to keep a permanent base there. It's like, what are we doing, dude? It's like, stop trying to make Sean Hannity. He just happens to be on the right side of this particular fucking story. Broken clock is right twice a day. I don't understand it. Like, Charlie, you've been nailing it, dude. And I'm with you on all. I'm not saying that you're wrong here, of course. But like, I would go to Charlie before I go to anybody on Fox or on MSNBC. Charlie's fucking nailing it, dude. And that guy just drinks ayahuasca and throws up on people. He's not taking 10 fucking mil from fucking a corporation owned by the military industrial complex. Like, dude, there's no other place that Rachel Maddow can make that money unless she learns how to become a power forward in the NBA. It's not, or a fucking designated hitter in Major League Baseball. She's never going to make that money, dude. She is on the nipple. And I know she's just like a sexy lesbian, and the progressives love those fuckable lesbians, and they love to be able to fucking say, oh my God, look at the unicorn of truth. She lied to you. And she knew she was lying. And how do I know that? Because I'm a dick joke, late night, illiterate comic. And I fucking knew that they were fucking lying to you. And I laid it down to you. And then my girlfriend finally goes, oh my God, you're like it. She finally gave in after 3 years of me just fucking sleeping on the couch because I didn't want to hear her mouth anymore. Her talking about fucking, oh, did you hear the latest thing? And like, she just kept moving the goalpost. Every day was a new, like, oh, now it's the Russian mobs. Get the fuck out of here, man. There are things I hate Trump about. This just happened to be one of them, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
It's stupid.
It's stupid, dude. It's stupid.
Well, Jim, as you know, the best place to get your news now is Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
Go to Jimmy Dore. He seems to be right on it, And like he says, like you, what am I? I'm just a Jag of Nyko comedian.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He's doing a better job than all those other people that are getting paid $12 million a year, and he's doing it in his garage. And you know why? Because he can say what he thinks, and he can see what's really going on. And so he speaks the truth. And guess what? He's got 500,000 subscribers. They're fucking terrified of people like that because they can't be controlled, and they do it in a way that's really funny. You remember when The Daily Show came out, and people would watch that, and they'd go, I know Jon Stewart is making fun of these events, but I'm understanding them because he's putting a funny spin on it. That really connected with me. Part of when I wrote my book was I thought, I have to make it funny. I have to find the humor in this insanity because it will keep people hooked in a little bit longer, and keep them through some of the darker stuff. I understood that he was making fun of things, and I understood the story behind it too. It was a great way to deliver the news, and Jimmy Dore does that better than anybody else. And I watch his show all the time, and guess what? He is beside himself, ecstatic with the Rachel Maddow thing. His episode that I watched today was so funny. He was just laughing, just outright laughing uncontrollably at her trying to spin this whole thing. You can't spin it. There's no spin for this. You lied, and you got caught. It all came to an end, and you got busted. Just go, okay, we're out. It's been nice working here, but we staked our reputation on this, and we were wrong, and we knew we were going to be wrong. We just thought Mueller would figure it out. Let me remind people of something really quick. Robert Mueller is the same son of a bitch that sat in front of Congress and said, weapons of mass destruction, we have to go into Iraq. Yep. So this guy is not on the side of truth. And if that scumbag couldn't find something dirty in Trump, I don't know who could, because he's not afraid to be alive. I mean, he's not some holy roller who's going to go up there and tell the truth, and nothing but the truth. I mean, this guy has proven he would perjure himself in front of Congress in order to sell a war that killed millions of people. So he's a scumbag too. So, congratulations, CNN and MSNBC. You staked your entire reputation on this stupid fucking story that everybody in the truth community knew was bullshit, and now it's the end of you. Bye-bye. Have fun. You deserve it. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people.
I couldn't agree with you, dude. I want everyone to go back at one of my appearances on the live Jimmy Dore show, myself and with Greg Anthony, and see what I was saying before everybody was there. And I was breaking it to Jimmy. Carter Page was a plant. If anyone ever tells you you don't know what's in it, you haven't seen it, go look up Carter Page, look up Stephen A. Halper, and how he was an old spook who was being a professor at Cambridge University in England, and how they fucking did entrapment on that guy. They planted Carter Page on his transition team. They used that to get the FISA warrant, and then they wiretapped Trump. And you can say whatever you want about Trump. That was a legal wiretap. And that was a president, Barack Chocolate Jesus Obama, fucking basically wiretapping the orange fucking man, Donald Trump. So just know that you are looking away because you don't like a guy. You don't like him, so you're going to let the rules change. And just remember, if they do it to him, they'll do it to fucking you. So even if you don't like somebody, that's why even the most disgusting human being has the right to a fair trial. When the ACLU, and we could talk about whether they're funded by Soros or not, but when they defend a pedophile or a murder of a kid, and you're like, fuck those guys, you're like, dude, you have to defend their rights in order so when you get charged, you have the benefit of you have you have the rights to the trial. And it sucks because I hate those pedophiles. Throw them in a wood chipper for all I give a fuck, but we have to defend the basic rights, dude. We have to defend the basic rights. And man, it's a crazy time. We are more right, Charlie, than we are wrong. Charlie, do you like boners? Do you like big boners, rock hard boners? Well, I want to welcome our new sponsor.
I mean, I like my own.
Yeah, but you got.
I don't like other people's all that much, but I'm fine with my own.
You sound prejudiced because you got to check out our good friends at Blue Chew. Welcome, our new friend. Yeah, guys, let's talk about sex, good sex. Remember the days when you always had and they were ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get extra confidence in bed. BlueChew.com. The blue, like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients in Viagra and Cialis, and you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever you have the opportunity arises. I love Blue Chew. I take them. I love boners, dude. I like popping boners. I like angry boners. I used to have this monster boner that my ex-girlfriend loved because I would just sleep and be rock hard, and then she would get on. She's like, listen, you're not the biggest guy. I have 6 inches of fucking monster thunder, and I bring the force of 1,000 rock gods. But that's why I like to use Blue Chew. What?
No more need for rhinos.
No more going to gas stations.
Yes, no more needed for that shit. If you don't need no prescription, these fucking work.
I'm willing to tell you that probably gas station boner pills are CIA. They're put out there through the CIA, dog. So it's really easy. Now I love Blue Chew. I get it all the time. It's really simple, man. Right now we got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use this promo code HAT. Just pay $5 shipping. Again, that's BLUE Chew.com. Promo code HAT. Try it for free. Blue Chew is better, cheaper, faster, and we thank them for sponsoring us. Dude, Charlie, next time you're in, I'm going to give you a whole gacker of Blue Chew. We're going to chop it up, and we're going to gack it out, and we're going to talk whether Pornhub is a fucking CIA thing that's been put out to get us all into deviant shit.
Allegedly, I heard that if you got that coke dick, this still works.
I hope so.
Of course it does, dude.
Yep. Allegedly, I don't know where it came from.
Word on the
street is.
Oh, that's the best advertising you can get. Hey, yo, if you got coke dick, try Blue Chew, all right? It's a lot of fun. I'm thankful that they're sponsors. And the good shit we got coming up, you guys are going to thank these sponsors as well. They're a big part of our thing. And I want to get into real quick some social media deplatforming. Charlie, you were in Twitter jail. I was in Twitter jail recently for telling the guy to suck a shotgun or deep throat a shotgun. I mean, it happened instantly. Instantly, I got banned for 24 hours. What happened to you? What'd you get banned for?
I got banned for responding to one of your tweets.
My apologies, buddy. My apologies.
Well, look, you said Kathy Griffin. It was the Kathy Griffin thing, and you called her retarded. And what I responded back was, perhaps they didn't get the memo that there's no rules in comedy. Retarded, retarded, retarded. Bam, I got thrown in Twitter jail for 24 hours.
I can't believe they do that. It's unbelievable to me. So today, I got a death threat from a woman named Elliskin McCain. A McCain. I think it's either the niece or a daughter. I don't know. She's a McCain. She lives in Tucson, and she's been trying to deplatform me. She threatened me with violence in my Tucson show. She went nuts. Now, I normally wouldn't report anybody. I've gotten death threats before. They make me laugh. I just wanted to see if someone with a blue check with a McCain by their name would get at all put in Twitter jail. So let's go see right now if she is in Twitter jail. Let's see real quick. Ask him McCain. Let's see. She might have deplatformed me. She might have blocked me, so I can't look it up. Can you look it up real quick?
I'm looking it up.
I'll spell you her name. It's ELSKE McCain.
EM.
Okay, it's ELSKE MCCAIN. So let's see if she is still there, and because she literally said about bombs and guns. See if she's still there. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Let's see if she's still there. Oh, she's blocked me, so I can't see if she's still there. But I think she is. Yeah, if you guys want to see if she's there. She's actually somewhat of a smoke show. That makes me sad that she's mad at me, but
she's a film artist or some shit like that.
But
right?
She's a McCain in Tucson. She says I called out the governor, the mayor, who's a Rothschild, and I called out fucking her dad, uncle, friend for being a piece of shit for starting ISIS. And I just don't like McCain on The View, dude. I don't know why she's there. She doesn't bring any value. Maybe calling her hot garbage was mean, but I'm not a fan of her. So that's it. And she got mad at me, and she's threatened me with violence and death. So should be interesting. Tickets for that show are still on sale. So let's see if she gets deplatformed.
Well, that runs in the McCain family to threaten violence and death. I mean, he seemed to make quite a living of doing that.
I mean, like, dude, it's coming out right now with this Russian stuff that he basically wanted to use the IRS to cripple people financially. I mean, McCain, his daughter's thinking about getting off because all this stuff's coming out about her dad. And her dad basically started ISIS. And we all know it. You remember when ISIS was starting to back off, and then all of a sudden McCain does this trip to the Middle East, and all of a sudden ISIS was back, bombing and shooting, and he's pictured with all those guys right there. Someone tried to tell me those aren't them. It's like, it's totally them, dude. Totally them. What is your thoughts on McCain?
Well, when he did that whole bomb Iran thing, that's hilarious. Talking about murdering millions of people. You would think that somebody that was in a war, that was in a chicken coop in a POW camp, would have a little bit more compassion. But you would be completely wrong when it comes to John McCain, because he was the first person that wanted to rain down bombs on people. He didn't give a shit about anybody. And, the people that were in Vietnam that knew him do not have good things to say about that guy. So I have no sympathy for that guy. I think his daughter, who's on The View, is a piece of garbage as well. I don't care for the whole family. I mean, you were talking about nepotism. She has no business being on television. She's terrible at her job. She sucks. And she did that fake crying thing. Everybody's anti-Semitic. I'm consider myself to be Jewish. Shut up. You are not. You're just a big phony. That's what you are. Like the rest of the Bush daughter, Jenna Bush, who has a job on. These are jobs on these horrible platforms that should be going to other horrible human beings, not McCain's and Bush's. But that's the world we live in. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. If you have the right last name, then you can get yourself a $1 million a year job talking about nothing on television. It's
like Mika. What's her name from Morning Joe? Mika. Her dad is like basically the guy who came up with
Mika Brzezinski. Yeah.
Her dad. There's a famous quote that in the past it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. He says now it's easier to kill 1 million people than control 1 million people. And he took pride in that quote. It's one of the first videos on my YouTube, him saying that quote. And it's like, it's in
my book.
Giant piece of shit. And why is his daughter on Morning Joe forming national consensus on issues when her father was basically part of the fucking the military industrial complex? What's his face on Conan O'Brien? God, I can't remember his name. Who is one? Henry Kissinger's son is like a fucking executive producer on Conan. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what? I mean, that man, when you look at what happened in Agent Orange in Vietnam and you realize what we did to that area of the country, and that guy's executive producing a TV show, it's like, how are these people allowed to just walk freely amongst this shit without making some fucking apology for what their parents did? Fucking gross. Fucking gross.
I don't know. I don't know. It's reprehensible, but this is how it goes. You get guys like Minka Brzezinski, and her dad wrote The Global Chessboard, where he talked about Eurasia as being the focal point, meaning Afghanistan and the Caspian region there, talking about how that is the area that you want to control. And guess what? He's the guy that was supplying arms to the Afghans who were fighting the Soviets. And then of course he was pushing for us to get involved in September, after September 11th, to go into Afghanistan. Of course he was. He said that he talked about that being the region that you have to control if you want to control the world. It's the gateway between the Middle East and Asia. And now all of a sudden, then his daughter gets a job on a morning show. Of course, they're not really talking about anything all that real, but still, the fact that she even has a platform to do that is ridiculous. But that's how it goes. That's how these globalist scumbags they do it. They get their families involved, and I'm sure Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough are going to have a kid someday, and they'll probably have a job doing the same stupid thing, telling people lies for a living. And that's why. Why are people still watching the mainstream media? Why are they watching it? It is such a train wreck. I can't understand why people even turn it on. Turn on the internet instead. There's way more interesting things going on online than there are on your TV.
And I just love hearing all these people bitching about YouTube videos. These YouTube videos, they're just putting out the stuff. You don't know it's true. Well, what I do know is what's on the news is not true. And I know if all the news channels across the spectrum's talking about, it's really not true. OAC, whatever her name is, how she answered a fucking a casting call, and then everybody from last week's show with last episode's like, Sam, that's bullshit, making up. Go look at it, dude. They openly admit it. I mean, dude, I was part of the Democratic Socialists for a short time. I'm not part of any party now. But look at that, man. They straight up did a casting call, and they're like, wow, we found a hot brunette with a big set of cans who just is willing to go into the fucking Viper pit and talk mad shit. And I guarantee you this, everybody, a sex tape is coming. It's coming. You can hear it right now. It's coming, and they're going to use that to make it. Oh, poor fucking OAC. Poor OAC. She's getting victimized. It's all part of this fucking plan, dude, to fucking push this chick into the fucking presidency or do something. Because this chick answered a fucking casting. Casting. What are we doing? It's ridiculous. But you tell me.
She said it. There's a video of her admitting it. She said, I went to a casting and I answered the call. I mean, you're not making it up. She's on the record saying it.
It's ridiculous, dude. But you're going to tell me
madness.
YouTube's bad. Somebody at home putting in his own time and effort into making a video, hoping that people watch it to enough to get a little Google Sense money, okay? Or maybe to get a sponsor on it for a couple $100. But that's full of shit. But the people on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, who are all owned by fucking giant military industrial complex companies, is fucking totally true. That's what I thought.
I mean, at least the guy making YouTube videos might be right. You know that the mainstream media is definitely not right. It's not even worth watching. Unless the only point is to watch to hear how ridiculous their stories are. Then in that case it's worth watching. But if you're actually trying to get news from them, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, and then you got these, then you're seeing who's getting taken down, who's getting not taken down. There's people out there just spewing hate speech that don't get their channels down. But people put out the truth, and make no doubts about it. It's the truth. You're putting out the truth. And you got these guys who putting out hate speech, nothing happening. Why? Because they're agents of chaos, dude. And they put it out and they get people to fight with each other. They're going after gays, Jews, Mexicans, all these, never getting taken down because they bring division. They bring people to fight with each other. It's the true people out there that fucking scare everybody. And I thought that RA brought a good point. Why they get rid of flat earth? Well, because then it makes it laugh at the people to 9/11 and maybe the fucking true remedies. Maybe. Or they're scared of you looking at flat earth. I don't know, but it just doesn't make any sense what they're picking. And two of them make sense. The remedies that cure everything and the 9/11 videos, they make sense why they want to take them down. Why they want to take down flat earth videos, I don't know. What's your thought on who they take down and who they don't take down, Charlie? It's interesting for sure, man.
Well, one thing I've learned, I've learned from the flat earth stuff is that I need to take geometry again because I don't know enough about it. But I think anybody that's talking about something that's actually true is going to get themselves, find themselves in either deplatformed, demonetized, shadow banned, or just outright kicked off of YouTube. If you're making too much sense, if you're going against things like, it's the Atlantic Council that has had a huge influence in this. They're a group that is financed by the pharmaceutical industries and the military industrial complex. And they have been brought in by Facebook and Twitter to advise them on what sort of stance to take on some of these alternative media channels and things like that. The Atlantic Council, because of who they are and because of who finances them, tells them, take anything off that's anti-vaccine, take anything off that is anti-war, because that's bad for business for them. Take anything off that contradicts the official narrative. So if you come out and you're anti-vaccine, or if you come out and you're saying we shouldn't be invading Venezuela, or we shouldn't be thinking about going into Iran, they will consider you to be the enemy because they're being advised, Facebook and Twitter are being advised by a group above them, Atlantic Council, and Atlantic Council is being told, well, they don't really have to be told what to do. This is how they feel about these things. They want people that are discussing those things shut right up. And so that's why you're getting bans. That's why you're getting people kicked off. It's Facebook, but they're doing the work and the bidding of somebody else, and that is the Atlantic Council. And I hate to go all Eddie Bravo, but for people that don't know about it, look into it.
I'm with you on that. And dude, we love going Eddie Bravo. Go hard in the paint. For sure. I want to talk about who's behind Google, who's behind YouTube, who's behind Facebook. We always hear that they're private companies. They have the right to do what they want. But when you look at them, they all got seed money from the CIA shell companies, which basically is using taxpayer money to fund these things. So we funded this. We have the right to question. They're not private. They're publicly traded. So where do you get the private thing? I mean, and there's such a big part of the market that they should be a utility. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with that. They also took a lot of these companies took early round funding from venture capitalists like Sequoia Capital, Kleiner Perkins, Draper Fisher Jurvetson, these large Silicon Valley venture capital firms that are heavily influenced by the military industrial complex and DARPA and CIA and In-Q-Tel and places like that. So the money comes with strings attached. These people that rise up, whether in politics or in big business, especially in the tech world, if they take money from people, if you take money as a politician to finance your campaign, you are indebted to the people that gave you that money. If you take money as a venture, from a venture capital company as a startup, you are indebted to them to some degree. They sit on your board, they control shares, they have a say in your business. So those venture capital companies are part of the problem here too, because they have people sitting on their board that are from Atlantic Council and DARPA and CIA and places like that. So follow, as they say, follow the money, right? When the money's coming from In-Q-Tel, which is the venture capital firm division of the CIA, you've got problems. Because it's a way of the CIA being involved without advertising that they're involved. And a lot of these tech companies took money from them. And if they took it from other venture capitalists, then you have to look into them too. So Silicon Valley is a very dirty place. It's the next frontier. I think that this deplatforming and the social media constraints that have been put in place by people like Media Matters and run by David Brock and groups like that, they're up to no good for sure. They don't even really care any longer if you know that they're involved. They're outright talking about it, raising money based on it, explaining to their investors that, hey, we've got Facebook and Google and Twitter on board with us for these things. So, I don't know how much control somebody like Jack Dorsey actually even has, because his hands are tied to a certain degree because he's part of a board. Yes, he's the CEO of Twitter, but there are other people that are even above him. He could be kicked out of that role. So he has to toe a certain line with them. Let's say he might want to change some of these things. I'm not saying that he does, but he might want to. He could be slapped down pretty quickly by his board of directors and by the investors, and also by the government too. The government can say, do this our way, or we come after you guys. You want to have us sick the IRS on you and create a bunch of some tax audits, then play ball. And of course nobody wants that. And that's the dirty way the government plays ball with these people. So, it's not surprising. We saw this coming. It's going to get worse. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is going to, it's anti-vaccine now, and it will be anti-war soon. It will be whatever if it's anti the company line that you see on CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, if you're talking about something against that, it won't be long before you're deplatformed too. And, so it'll be back to cat videos and kids playing video games, and that'll be all that YouTube is.
Yeah, there's no kids video games either.
Oh,
though.
Lord.
Taking those away.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, I want to get into vaccines with you, but we don't have a lot of time. So I want to get into this thing because, we got to get Aaron home. He's been nice enough to do this real quick, civil asset forfeitures. I mean, it is a problem. Cops are starting to just pull people over, jack their shit. There's a story of a famous story about a guy winning 50 grand at a casino, driving home, getting pulled over for no reason, and they jacked his cash. What's your take on that, Charlie?
Well, I did a section on it that's coming out in my new book pretty soon. Civil asset forfeiture is basically when the police, where it started was the police were arresting drug dealers, and they were going to take all the drug dealers' assets, take all their money, take their houses, take their cars, and the police department was going to sell those, use the proceeds from that to help fund their operation to go after more drug dealers. So in theory, it might work. In actuality, it's a disaster, because what's happened is that they've discovered that there's so much money in this, and that the rules, the laws that have been written are so warped in the favor of the police. It's not, if a cop pulls you over, he can seize your watch, your laptop. He can say, well, is that your laptop? Because we had a report of a laptop that looks kind of like that was stolen. And they'll take it from you, and they'll make you sign a document there on the spot in your car that says that you authorize this. If you don't sign that document, then they arrest you as well. And then the case is brought against your property, not you. So it'll be state of Oklahoma versus 4 gold coins and a gold necklace, right? And they take it first. And then you have to hire an attorney to defend your property. And if you win the case, in the event that you win the case, you're paid back not by the police, but by the taxpayers. So it's the dirtiest game in the world, and they've figured out more and more. They've taken more and more. This in 2014. The civil asset forfeiture for the federal government was $5 billion. To put that in perspective, the entire amount of goods that was reported stolen in burglaries was only $3.5 billion. So that is more money taken by the police without any trial, without any case, than all of the money taken in burglaries in the country. So think about that for a minute.
Oh my God.
And so what they're doing is that the police departments are now budgeting on this. They're counting on this. When they set their budgets for the years ahead, they bank on the fact that they're going to be able to take this. And it's not just money. They'll take if you get pulled over for drunk driving in New York, they'll take you to jail on a DUI. Then they'll take your car. They'll take your car because your car is an accessory to the crime. They'll sell your car. Let's say you get off on the DUI, your car's already gone. It's sold. They took that money and they can spend it on whatever they want. They can take that money and fly all the people in their police precinct to Hawaii. It's not illegal for them to do that. And they've done it. I have reported cases in my new book that talk about that. So it is one of the dirtiest crimes. So if you're just a guy who's got an envelope full of cash because you're going to go drive down the street to buy a used car from somebody, and you get pulled over and the police find that money, they don't have to prove that it is drug money. You have to prove that it's not. And they'll take it from you first. Then you have to hire a lawyer to go fight it. It's crazy. We could do an entire show on that another time, but it's one of the dirty little secrets out there. It's called civil asset forfeiture. Look into it. Please be careful. If you're driving around, you have cash or anything like that, you're not a drug dealer. You may look like a drug dealer. You don't have to be one. You just have to give the impression
just be Mexican.
Of there being some
just
sort
might
of
be
wrongdoing,
Mexican.
and they can take that money.
Dude, listen to me about the whole drug thing. I mean, the CIA runs the whole thing. Like El Chapo is just a district manager. Like he's district manager of a McDonald's. So he's just running that part of the fucking drug chain, dude.
And his wife's chilling, enjoying all the money still.
Yeah.
He's still out. The kids with money. They didn't take his money. They didn't take his assets.
You know what, dude? His fucking dude. He donated 15 mil to the Clinton Foundation. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about, man? It's like, what is going on? Like, my grandpa was a cop, so I'm very much I have a real love for law enforcement in its ideal form. But what have we seen? What's going on in France right now? Cops cracking skulls of their fellow fucking countrymen for a goddamn check, and a fucking retirement that most likely won't be there. Like, what are we doing when we see what goes on in North Dakota? And these cops go in there and crack the head of these peaceful fucking protesters. Like, what are you doing, man? When did you decide it was okay to become stormtroopers? Now, I know that there's a level of psychopath, that there are some guys who get into cops. My buddy used to be a cop. He told me, he was like, oh, dude, we get paid to beat people up. I was like, dude, that's a really scary fucking thing, dude. A real scary fucking thing, dude. You know? What are we doing, man? Where are we going? Like, do you not watch movies, man? When you work for the oppressors, you eventually become oppressed. The people who become oppressed are your brothers, your sisters, your nephews, your sons, your daughters, and you're fucking cracking skulls in the name of people that wouldn't give a fuck if you were dead or alive. Or alive or dead, whichever order that should have gone.
Let's also remember what happened in World War II. The brown shirts rounded up everybody and murdered them early on. But then the SS murdered the brown shirts, okay? So if the police think that they're going to come in and just push people and take them out and do all this stuff, remember, there's a plan for them as well, and it won't end well. So this is what tyrannical governments do. They do things like that. Yeah, you talked about that with the Seth Rich, having the MS-13 hit squad comes in, 2 guys, and then they get killed afterwards.
Yep.
Of course, that's what you do. You tidy up. You make sure that there's nobody left to talk about the situation. So for those police out there that think it's cool to crack the heads of people, just remember, it comes around. You're doing it today to them. Wait till they bring the military back into the States, and then the military's job is to go crack your heads, because this is how it goes. Just look at history. This is how these things play out.
And dude, what happens to the fucking elites? I've seen the Terminator movies. There's no Rothschilds in the Terminator movies, okay? Once Matrix goes full fucking awareness, guess what? They take out the lizard people too, okay? The robots it goes serpent over eagle over fucking robot. But the robots take out the eagles because they try to take out the serpents, dude. Wake up, lizard people. Wake up. Robots are coming for you too. AI don't give a fuck about your bloodline, homeboy. All right? And
they got no blood. That's
they
why.
got no blood. They got circuits and they need power and they need us to sleep because they feed off our pain and suffering. You fucking lizard people. Wake up, lizard people. Wake up. Charlie, you crushed it. You're one of my favorite guests. Now, Charlie, do you live in Southern Cal? We'll say generally, or are you a Nevada guy?
I live in Denver, and I commute back and forth between Denver and Las Vegas for work. Yeah.
Well, I want to hang out with you,
which is very
dude.
inconvenient, but I make it work.
I'd like to hang out with you, dude. I like you, dude.
Right on, man.
I like your thing. I'd like to powwow, man.
I like you too.
Powwow, come hang out, dude. Come to a show on Tuesday.
Let's do it. Let's get some DMT.
Let's sit down and make fucking bad decisions, dude. You're the best. I appreciate you guys. We're going to be doing more of these shows. Charlie, tell them about your book and where they can get it.
Octopus of Global Control. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and you can get it at my website, theoctopusofglobalcontrol.com. Check it out.
You're a G.
Thanks, guys. XG, you're the best. Sam, love you. We'll see you soon.
I crushed it today. XG, you crushed it.
Thank you.
Aaron, you were great. We'll see you guys on the other side. Take care. Bye. Boom.